As we design post-pandemic schools, rebuilding trust with students is vital. Learn how this counselor builds trust one brick at a time. What is going on? My name is EJ Carrion, and I'm your host of This Week in Education, where we report on innovative trends, educators, and schools that are doing transformational work during these historic times. We release an engaging episode every Monday morning. To make these videos a part of your weekly practice as an education leader, hit the subscribe button. Now, most of the topics we cover are focused on students who can already share with us how they're feeling. And when we ask them what's wrong, they can give us a response. Today's episode, we learn how to connect with younger students in elementary school and students who might have a harder time sharing how they're feeling. Now, during a year of health, economic, and social challenges, students are coming back to our schools with baggage and trauma that we have to be able to acknowledge and unpack. My guest today is Derek Tulluck, an elementary school counselor in Seattle in the area of the Enumclaw School District. He also teaches a variety of courses at City University of Seattle in the Professional School Counseling Graduate Degree Program. Derek's expertise is incorporating play-based learning strategies by using Lego materials to help students communicate and express themselves in the classroom and in small group counseling. His work around Legos has coined him as the Brick Counselor.
Derek Tulluck. I am an elementary school counselor in Washington State. So I work in a small town outside of Seattle. Probably about 9 years ago, when I first became a school counselor, I found that a lot of the kind of more traditional lessons that I was doing with my students in small groups, using worksheets and things like that, were just not really that engaging for kids. For me, it's important that school is fun and meaningful. I want a kid to enjoy having that chance to come and work with me, and that would be something that was impactful for them. Often what I would do, though, is if kids kind of got through the lesson that we were doing for the last 5 minutes or so, like I would bring out like the bucket of Lego materials, and we would get to build, and that was kind of a reward that I would use. Over time, I realized that the kids really like that a lot more than the actual lessons that I was doing. They were more interested in, like, okay, Mr. Tulluck, come on, let's hurry up and get to the fun stuff. So that kind of got me thinking about how can I increase engagement. Around that time, I started to learn about the world of Lego art. There's people who are like brick artists who create amazing sculptures and just awesome artwork out of Lego materials, out of bricks. And so I started learning about that. And all this time, I had always had an interest in using art with my students. And so around then is when it really started to click for me that I could really combine all of these things together and start integrating, the Lego materials with that idea of using art as a way for kids to explore social emotional topics. And I realized that this is so much more fun and also way more meaningful. Like I found that by bringing out the Lego materials, like it created a whole new atmosphere for doing, small group counseling with kids. And not only did it lead to more engagement, but over time I started to realize that I felt like it was a lot more inclusive and a lot more equitable for students as well. Because often I will work with students who may have special needs or communication related disabilities, students who are English language learners who may have limited English proficiency. A lot of the more traditional worksheets and, those kinds of activities are a lot more language intensive. And for students who may not have stronger language skills, that can be a barrier for those kids as far as participating and being able to join in the conversation and share how they're feeling and participate in discussions in a really meaningful way. And so by having the opportunity for kids to build a structure using Lego materials about like how they're feeling or what they're going through. So an example would be like making like a little feelings robot. The colors can represent different feelings. And so for, say working with a kindergartner who doesn't have very strong English skills at this point, having something like this as an activity can help them to express what they're feeling and what they're going through in a way that isn't dependent on them having, really high proficiency in English, as an example. And so doing something like that is also maybe more comfortable for kids who are a little bit shy or maybe this is their first time doing a group, having an activity where they get to build and construct something and using that to help them express how they're feeling. And, I can ask questions about, I noticed you use yellow, or I noticed you have a lot of blue. And I can work with those students on identifying what those colors represent, naming those feelings and talking through that with them.
What I love about Derek's approach is that it allows students to have a voice and the autonomy to create, as there's no specific rules. With a worksheet or a prompt of questions, it could feel as if there's a right answer. So then students aren't able to advocate for their own feelings and creativity. This approach is open-ended, allowing for students to be original thinkers. Derek did not grow up loving Legos as a kid. He truly found an interest in Legos as it was a tool to provide an equitable environment for students to respond meaningfully.
Two different ways that I use my Lego materials and activities with students. The first is using Lego materials as a way to explore social emotional topics. So whether it's having students build a structure that represents how they're feeling. So for example, this is a Lego volcano. This is a great little activity to just check in with students, but a great way to talk about, levels of emotional intensity. Could be great for a problem solving situation where a student is coming in to talk with you about maybe a situation that happened at recess, and we can talk about where they're feeling and use this kind of as a visual, tangible scale to talk about, were you, I was really frustrated, or I was really angry, I was about to blow up here. It gives you something that helps facilitate those conversations for kids, or having them build a structure around how they're feeling today. So one student might build a stormy rain cloud to talk about their feelings and saying, right now I got a lot of really tough stuff going on. Life just feels pretty stormy right now, right? Or another kid might build, happy sunshine and talk about how there's a lot of really great positive things going on in their life.
Now that we have kids back in person, as school leaders, we have to utilize project-based approaches and integrate it not just for SEL activities, but academic subjects. We felt the pains of sitting in front of Zoom screens all year, unable to engage and connect with our students. When we can reduce the amount of lecture-based teaching, it allows kids to collaborate and connect with their peers and educators. When you watch the full interview with Derek, you'll learn how he used Legos for an architecture project that allowed students to collaborate, create, and bring purpose to the educational outcomes he was trying to get students to achieve.
It's just a really cool way to support that sense of self-efficacy as well. Building those students' confidence and showing that, hey, you can accomplish great things in life. And, from that one little moment, hey, I designed this cool building, that experience alone can help to be a catalyst for them to take on other challenges in life and to, believe in themselves and know that, hey, if I can do that and present at this, the STEM Expo and do these, amazing things, what other possibilities are there for me? Or maybe I will sign up and take robotics class in middle school, or maybe I will take on that other goal of learning a new language or whatever it may be that they have their eyes on. I want to build that sense of confidence in those students.
The world needs more builders, designers, and creatives, and Derek's approach is allowing us to start early and building these confident 21st century knowledge-based workers. Derek's methods and ideas may seem like a small intention of using Lego bricks in a classroom, but I believe what he is doing is allowing all of us to see what kind of leaders we need to be and the mindsets we need to have to build a post-pandemic school. Our schools are Lego blocks, and it takes our creativity, collaboration, and boldness to create schools that excite students to want to come back and enjoy the subjects that they're learning. What I also learned from Derek is that we need to include students in the building process and the campus experience if we really want them to succeed. Thank you for watching This Week in Education. Learn more about Derek's work in the description below. There you will see his 2 books for educators and free resources which include downloadable worksheets to integrate brick counseling in your classroom. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and share. In the meantime, keep changing the world.